Oh man, did you enjoy the drama today, you little drama fiends? I know I'm a drama fiend, and we should have drama pretty much every day from now in this World Cup. And by extension, on Rabona TV's World Cup Daily, the show where I get you up to date on everything that happened on the day, the cool stats, important moments, and then set you up for the following day's matches. Sounds cool, right? Well hey, I'm Canadian Adrian, by the way. Canadrian, if you will. Nobody calls me that. And if daily World Cup content sounds like your thing, then don't be shy. Hit that subscribe button and say what up in the comments section. Also, doing a watch along for Brazil versus Serbia tomorrow, so don't miss that. As always, we'll go live 10 minutes before kickoff. Join us. Alright, first up, let's look at Group C, starting with France versus Denmark, a match that on paper looks good, but when you consider the fact that these two teams knew that they would be through with just a draw, well, Braithwaite started in place of Youssef Poulsen, and early doors, he looked pretty okay, giving the French defenders plenty to think about with his mazy, driving runs forward with the ball. Speaking of the French defenders, they had a few changes to their back line, and changes to their starting 11 in general. Despite being 33 now, Mandanda got his first World Cup start for France, as did Frenel Kimpembe. In fact, that was his first start in general for France. Also, getting their first start of this tournament were Sidibe, Nzonzi, and Lamar. 6 changes in total, and all pretty decent second stringers if you ask me. This match was fairly even throughout, with France perhaps having more opportunities in the first half, but Denmark having the seemingly more dangerous ones. Other than a close call regarding a foot race between Hernandez, Mandanda, and Eriksen, and a long-range strike from Dembele, there weren't too many opportunities going in either direction before the half was up. In the second half, Eriksen was again amongst the danger for Denmark, but his volley was dragged just wide. For France, Nabil Fekir came into the pitch, and his first shot at the action, literally a shot, curled towards goal, but not quite far enough as it clipped the side netting just outside of the post. It was hard to judge France in this match in particular, but one thing I can say for sure about them now, on the day that Didier Deschamps matches Raymond Domenech's record for matches in charge of France, Deschamps isn't the guy. He constantly plays with the lineup to the point where it seems like he has no idea what his preferred 11 is. In this match, he could be forgiven for doing so given that France had already progressed. But I'm going to be watching you, Didier, and if you continue to rotate your squad in the knockout rounds, I'm going to be a bit critical, as I was during Euro 2016 when you messed it up in the final. And started Moussa Sissoko? But anyways, sorry, a bit of a tangent there. The closer the match got to the 90th minute mark, the more that both teams seemed happy to just get this match over with at 0-0. And the more the boos and whistles started to ring around due to the boring nature of this game. The worst one of the tournament so far, for me. And with that, thanks to said boring match, we got our first bore draw of the tournament after 38 matches. 37 matches had all at least one goal in them, but this didn't. Still, this World Cup has smashed the record by 10 matches, so shout out to all the teams involved. Except Denmark and France, who ruined it all. But anyway, in the other match, the already eliminated Peru took on Australia, who needed a win and some help from the French in order to advance. However, just 18 minutes into the match, Andre Carrillo smashed a volley into the Australian goal, assisted by Paulo Guerrero. So now, Costa Rica is the only team that is yet to score a goal, as Morocco scored twice versus Spain yesterday, and Carrillo lifted Peru out of the goalless hole. This was the first time since 1978 that Peru have taken the lead in a World Cup match. Isn't that crazy? From there, a fire was lit under the Aussie asses, and of course, why wouldn't it be? As they had to win to extend their stay in Russia. Competitive stay in Russia. They're free to hang out after they're knocked out, of course, and being Australian, I'm sure they will, and they'll drink all the beer, just like they did in that other city in the Russian World Cup. And just 5 minutes into the second half, it looked for sure as if Australia would be knocked out when Paulo Guerrero, the Peruvian ledge, finished off a well-worked passing play with a side volley that was just a little out of reach for Matt Ryan. So, from 0 goals scored, much like Morocco, Peru's attack clicks into gear when it's just a little too late for them, which must be heartbreaking for their fans. For Guerrero personally, he became the 3rd oldest South American player to score at a World Cup, at 34 years and 176 days old. Speaking of age, the ageless wonder that is Tim Cahill became the first Australian player to appear in 4 separate World Cup tournaments, and the oldest Aussie to do so at 38 years old. But unfortunately for Australia, it was too little too late, as perhaps with Tim Cahill on the pitch, he would have been able to finish off the many chances that the Socceroos had blown throughout the match. This match was calling for a Tim Cahill. So, with that loss for Australia in mind, let's look at the final standings. Things are unchanged at the top, with France in first on 7 points and Denmark in second on 5. Peru steals third with 3 points. And Australia is in last with just 1 point to their name. And who would they meet in the next round? Great question. Let's look at what happened in Group D. We'll start with Iceland versus Croatia, and as we already knew, Croatia was through to the next round no matter the result, so they fielded their B team, or at least their B team plus Modric and Perisic. Iceland were largely unchanged, for the most part fielding the team that got the draw against Argentina in their first match. However, they started pretty lethargically, looking much the weaker team throughout much of the half, until they probably heard that Argentina had scored. In the last 15 to 20 minutes for Iceland, they began to really put the pressure on the Croatians, with Finnbogason just dragging a shot wide and Gunnarsson forcing a great save out of Kalinic, who was in for Subasic. Not that Kalinic that plays for AC Milan, no. Alas, the half ended 0-0 and Iceland knew they had to go out and win in order to advance. However, the second half began like a nightmare for them, when in the 53rd minute, Fiorentina captain Milan Badel found his way to the end of a deflected cutback and his side smash drove straight into the ground, bouncing past a helpless Haldarsson. A helplesson. Now, Iceland was really against it, but if they could get a winner, they could potentially leapfrog both Nigeria and Argentina. Shortly after, Ingesson's header from a corner bounced off of the crossbar, but Croatia wasn't ready to give it up to them easily, as they subbed on Dejan Lovren. Well, less than 10 minutes after getting on the pitch, Lovren gave Iceland a penalty. You know, to make things interesting. I like your sporting attitude, Lovren. Surely having flashbacks to his failed attempt against Nigeria, Sigurdsson stepped up and smashed it right down the middle and gave his country about 15 minutes to find a winner. Game on. No, not game on, because it just wasn't meant to be, as in the 90th minute, Croatia's Milan Badel staked his claim for a starting place when he played through Ivan Perisic and the long-necked assassin, as nobody calls him, but perhaps they should call him that, smashed the ball past Haldarsson, and in doing so, you could hear the sound of 337,780 Icelandic people's hearts breaking simultaneously. And it would end 1-1, meaning Iceland was officially out, as they finished their first World Cup winless, and Croatia, for the first time in their history, had won 3 matches in a row. But wait, what happened in the other match between Nigeria and Argentina? I'll tell you, man. First of all, shout out to those who joined me for this watch along. There was over 100 of you on average throughout, so it was great to be able to chat with you all and discuss all of the excitement live. That was a good time. Now, there were rumors that Messi and Mascherano chose the team for this match, as apparently the players have cut off all communication with Sampaoli. Is that true? I don't know. Probably not, or at least not officially. But perhaps the players were more inclined to listen to what Messi and Mascherano had to say. In fact, on Monday, Mascherano said the relationship between the players and the coach was completely normal. So maybe they're still kind of listening to him, but the players have more say in the starting 11. Regardless, Argentina, and namely Messi, came out flying in this one, as the team did well to incorporate their captain in their attack much more, with tons of interplay all over from Messi, Perez, Banega, Di Maria, etc. Banega and Mascherano were massive in this match, by the way, bossing the middle of the park and cutting off most of Nigeria's futile attempts to hit them on the counter early on. Then, after 14 minutes, Banega pinged a beautiful ball over the top that Messi controlled with his left peg, took another touch to set himself, and smashed it past Uzoho. Statement start from the little Argentinian. See, this is what we expected from Argentina. Backs against the wall, and they'll probably get it done. That goal was the 100th of this World Cup so far, and Messi's first World Cup goal in 662 minutes of football, with his last goal coming against Nigeria as well in the 2014 World Cup. 6-match goalless drought snapped. And from there he continued as Messi hit a direct free kick off of the post, and it wasn't until late in the half that Nigeria started to come into their own a bit more. They looked pretty scared and shaky at the back. and in the attack, to be honest. And in the second half, in the 49th minute, it was judged that Mascherano wrestled Nigerian defender Balogun to the ground. In my opinion, having watched it quite a few more times now, it was a fairly weak penalty. As yes, Mascherano had two hands on Balogun, but the Nigerian clearly went limp and fell into Mascherano. But besides that, Victor Moses stepped up to take it, and how did I feel about that?
I don't really have a great feeling about Moses taking this, to be honest with you.
Hey, he didn't look confident, okay? He looked a little nervous in the moments leading up to it. However, he looked great with his celebration. So as it stood, Nigeria would be going through to the next round, and Argentina would be out. In fact, it looked as if Nigeria were going to cement their place in the next round in the 75th minute, when Ahmed Musa's deflected cross went through the air and was met by Marcos Rojo. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Rojo heads the ball onto his own outstretched arm. It wasn't deliberate, however, a precedent was set yesterday in the Portugal match where a similar situation, even weaker than this one, to be honest, happened to Cedric and a penalty was given to Iran. In my opinion, for the sake of consistency, it should have been a penalty, though I am more than curious to hear what you guys have to say about that penalty shout. So, should it have been a penalty, or did the referee make the right call? Something Nigerian fans will be talking about for a while now, I'm sure. Argentina fans, they've already forgotten about it. And just 11 minutes later, this happened.
Oh, it's a goal for Argentina! What a strike! Marcos Rojo of all people! Argentina are 2-1 up!
After Higuain had completely blown an even easier finish just a few minutes earlier, just as he always does in the Argentina kit, to be honest, Marcos Rojo goes and does that. I think they solved their striker conundrum now. Don't play Higuain, don't play Aguero, just put Marcos Rojo up there. Rojo makes it 2 goals in 2 matches against Nigeria, and he was almost impeccable at the back for Argentina. 100% tackle success, 100% crossing success, 8 aerials won, 3 interceptions, 1 shot, 1 goal, 1 hero. My hero. Not really, I'm not going for Argentina. And so, Nigeria was pipped by Argentina at the death, from progression to elimination with the swipe of Rojo's boot. Unlucky. I was hoping we would have a couple African teams in the knockout rounds, but it's not to be. And with that performance by Argentina, I wouldn't go so far as to say they don't deserve to move on. Messi was huge, Mascherano was huge, and also bleeding for the entirety of the match, but was allowed to stay on the pitch for some reason. Rojo was a hero, and Armani looked pretty decent in goal. Okay, let's break down the final table and see what that means as far as round of 16 matchups. Croatia stomped all comers, finishing with 9 points. Argentina is in second with 4 points. Nigeria in third with 3. And Iceland with just the sole point in fourth. So, that means that Argentina and France will face off this Saturday in Kazan, and Croatia will be up against Denmark on July 1st. Sunday, July 1st. That's Canada Day, by the way. Just so you know. Oh, and another by the way, we could have Messi versus Ronaldo in the quarterfinals with this bracket setup. So, I'm sure there will be some match fixing to ensure that happens in an attempt to break ratings records. I mean, what? No, that won't happen, not with FIFA. Okay, so very interesting matches, and tomorrow, the interesting matches continue, with groups E and F in action. Let's see what the situation is. Starting in Group E, where Brazil is facing off against Serbia, and Switzerland takes on Costa Rica. For Brazil, the situation is quite simple. All they need is a draw against Serbia, and they are through to the next round. If they lost and Switzerland get even just a point against Costa Rica, then Brazil will be out. For Serbia, it's an even clearer picture for them. Win and you're through. End of. Anything else, and they're out. Switzerland could make it through with a draw or even a loss, depending on whether or not Brazil loses to Serbia, but they will definitely be playing for the win against Costa Rica, as they could go undefeated in the group stage. Then in Group F, it gets wild. Mexico just need a point against Sweden to go through and make the other result meaningless, while Sweden are guaranteed to go through if they beat Mexico and have a better result scoring-wise than Germany. Germany, on the other hand, will qualify if they win by 2 or more clear goals. But if both Germany and Sweden end up drawing their matches against Korea and Mexico respectively, then whoever had the higher scoring draw will go through. If they end up with the same score, a 1-1 or a 2-2 or something like that, then Germany goes through on head-to-head. And Korea can still technically make it through also if they beat Germany and Sweden loses and they finish with a better goal difference than both Germany and Sweden. Whew, complicado. Anyways, yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, then be sure to drop a like for me. My name is Adrian, this is Rabona TV, and we'll see you tomorrow during the watch along, if you can make it. Otherwise, we'll see you in another World Cup Daily. Peace.